Ready for some serious political intrigue? We're diving deep into the minutes from the New York City Council's first meeting of the year.
Oh, January 3rd, 2024.
Yeah, might have been just a regular Thursday in January for most folks.
Yeah.
But trust me, hidden in these minutes, clues about the political landscape of the city for the entire year.
Yeah, you're right. It's like a sneak peek, right? Like we get to see behind the curtain, the gears start turning, who's in the driver's seat, and maybe even like spot some potential roadblocks ahead.
Love it. Okay, so let's unpack this, shall we? First things first, roll call. Was everybody present and accounted for?
You know, interestingly enough, not quite.
Ooh.
Council Member Ung was the only absence.
Okay.
Which, in itself might not be significant, but it's definitely something we'll want to keep an eye on as we, analyze future meetings. Could be a sign of, like, a potential voting bloc forming against Speaker Adams.
Interesting.
Time will tell.
Okay. Interesting observation.
Yeah.
So assuming everyone else made it to their assigned seats, I imagine there was a palpable buzz in the room for the swearing-in ceremony.
Oh, absolutely. Like, new term, fresh start, right? You can practically feel the energy, even just reading these minutes.
Yeah.
Imam Shaykh Safraz Bacchus from Masjid Alabidin in Queens delivered the invocation.
Oh, wow.
Which I think speaks to the diversity of the council and the communities they represent.
It's a nice touch, bringing in, a local imam to deliver the invocation. Now, after the excitement of the ceremony, it sounds like they dove straight into the, procedural weeds.
Mm-hmm.
What's the deal with the rules of the council?
Yeah, so they basically decided to stick with the playbook from the previous session. Okay. The 2022-2023 session.
Got it.
Which, it's a practical move, I think.
Yeah.
Ensures continuity and allows them to, hit the ground running without getting bogged down in, procedural debates.
Yeah, so they're prioritizing stability in what is otherwise, a time of transition.
Right.
Interesting tactic. But let's be honest, the real drama is always around the election of the speaker.
Oh, absolutely. How'd that go down?
So Adrienne Adams secured another term as speaker.
Okay.
Council Member Ayala nominated her, and then a whole bunch of other council members seconded to the nomination.
Wow.
It was like a chorus of support. It was very clear that she enjoys significant support within the council.
And the vote itself?
Unanimous.
Wow.
50 votes for Adams. Ung, again, the only one not present to cast a vote. Interesting.
Makes you wonder, right? Is this consistent absence? Is this a deliberate political move? Or is it something else entirely? It's something we're going to have to keep an eye on.
A political mystery for us to unravel. Okay, so no dramatic showdown for the speakership this time around.
Right.
But the plot thickens when we look at these other leadership positions. Who else is wielding power in this newly minted city council?
Well, beyond Speaker Adams, we have a whole cast of characters in these key roles.
Okay.
Diana Ayala snagged the deputy speaker position, Amanda Farias as majority leader, and Selvina Brooks Powers as majority whip. Now, on the other side of the aisle, we have Joseph Borelli leading the Republican minority delegation as minority leader, and his pick, Inna Vernikoff, as minority whip.
Okay, that's a lot of names to keep track of.
I know, right?
For those of us who aren't fluent in the language of city council politics, can you break down what these roles actually entail? What do these folks actually do?
Okay, so think of it like an intricate dance.
Yep.
Each role carefully choreographed to, keep the wheels of government turning. The speaker, of course, is like our lead dancer, right?
Okay.
Setting the agenda, calling the shots, and just generally keeping the council moving in hopefully the same direction.
And the deputy speaker, is that the understudy ready to step into the spotlight when needed?
Precisely.
Okay.
They're there to support the speaker, ensure a smooth performance, especially when the speaker's unavailable or needs an extra pair of hands.
Got it. Now, what about these majority and minority leaders? What kind of clout do they hold?
So they're like the strategists, the negotiators. They're responsible for building consensus within their respective parties, wrangling votes, and advancing their legislative agendas.
And the whips. They sound a bit more assertive.
You could say that.
Okay.
Their role is all about party discipline,
Okay.
ensuring that their members toe the party line and vote according to, the party's stance. It can be a delicate dance of persuasion, pressure, and sometimes, maybe even a little arm twisting to keep everyone on message.
So it's their job to keep any potential rogue votes in check.
Exactly.
Okay.
And that's where things can get interesting, especially when you have like a diverse council like New York City's,
Right.
with members representing, a wide spectrum of political viewpoints and constituencies.
Speaking of interesting, the appointment of Amanda Farias as majority leader has me particularly curious. Her progressive stances, particularly on housing, could make for some fascinating dynamics within the council, don't you think?
For sure.
Especially when it comes to like budget allocation and potentially even clashing with some of the more moderate voices.
It's definitely a development worth watching closely.
Yeah.
Her appointment could signal a bolder direction for the council on issues like affordable housing, which has been a cornerstone of Speaker Adams' agenda as well.
Okay, so we could see some friction there,
Yeah.
but also potentially a really powerful alliance forming.
Precisely. And remember, this is all happening against the backdrop of, a looming national election year,
Right.
which tends to magnify these political tensions and put everyone on edge.
It's like watching a political thriller unfold in slow motion. We've got ambition, potential alliances, maybe even a little bit of a power struggle brewing.
Yeah.
But before we get ahead of ourselves, let's bring it back to our listeners for a second.
Okay.
What does all this political maneuvering actually mean for the average New Yorker?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Right.
I mean, on the surface, these appointments, these procedural details might seem kind of like a dry insider baseball game,
Right.
But the reality is the decisions made by this council, guided by these leaders, will have a ripple effect on every aspect of life in the city.
So we're not just talking about political theater here.
No.
These decisions have real-world consequences.
Exactly.
For everyday people.
Everything from housing affordability, public transportation, to education, policing, sanitation, all of it stems from the policies debated and enacted within those city hall chambers.
It suddenly makes you want to pay a little more attention to those city council meetings, doesn't it?
It really does, yeah. And that's why I think,
Yeah.
understanding the players, their motivations, the power dynamics at play, it's so crucial.
Totally. Okay, so we've covered the who's who,
Right.
the potential alliances.
Yep.
But did anything actually happen in this first meeting?
Right.
Or was it purely about setting the stage for the year ahead?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of concrete actions like passing legislation, making major policy announcements, not quite.
Okay.
This meeting was all about laying the groundwork, establishing the rules of engagement,
Right.
signaling potential priorities.
Okay, so it's like the opening scene of a play.
Yeah.
Introducing the characters, setting the stage, but not quite revealing the plot yet.
Precisely. But
Right.
even in these what might seem like mundane procedural moments,
Right.
we can glean valuable insights.
Okay.
Take Speaker Adams' re-election, for instance.
Yeah.
It's not just a routine reappointment, right? It's a clear mandate for her agenda,
Okay.
We can anticipate a strong push for affordable housing initiatives.
Okay.
Perhaps some renewed friction around police reform, especially with the current political climate.
And with Ung's absence during the vote, it makes you wonder if there's like a silent opposition forming,
Yeah.
biding their time for the right moment to make a move.
It's certainly a possibility, yeah, and it highlights the importance of really tracking the attendance, the
Right.
voting patterns throughout the year. Because even a single dissenting voice can have a significant impact depending on the issue at hand.
This is why we love a good political drama.
I know, right?
So the stage is set, the players are in position, the tension is building. What's the next act in this New York City Council saga?
Well, according to the meeting minutes, the curtain rises again on January 18th, 2024.
Mark your calendars, folks.
Yes.
Any hints about what's on the agenda for this next installment?
Unfortunately, the minutes leave us hanging,
Oh, cut.
frustratingly silent on the specific issues to be tackled.
All right, so put on your political analyst hat for a second.
Okay.
What burning issues do you think will be front and center?
Well, we already touched upon, Speaker Adams' focus on affordable housing, so I expect that to be a recurring theme. Additionally, public safety is always a hot topic in New York City, right?
Sure.
It's likely to be even more prominent with the national election cycle heating up.
Of course.
We're bound to hear a lot about crime rates, policing strategies,
Right.
how to strike that delicate balance between ensuring public safety
Right.
and addressing concerns about police reform.
It's a complex issue with no easy answers.
Exactly.
Any other potential political landmines waiting to be detonated.
Well, the city's budget is always a source of intense debate and negotiation.
Right.
With, some economic uncertainty on the horizon.
Right.
How the council chooses to allocate resources will reveal a lot about their priorities.
Okay.
Will we see, increased spending on social programs, infrastructure projects, or perhaps a more fiscally conservative approach? It's something we'll be watching very closely.
So we've got housing, public safety, the always contentious budget debate.
Right.
Plenty of fodder for political maneuvering and potential fireworks.
Absolutely. And let's not forget the dynamics between the newly appointed leaders, right?
Right.
Will they work in harmony?
Right.
Or will we see clashes of vision and strategy?
You're right. And we've got our eye on that potential power struggle between Speaker Adams and Majority Leader Farias.
Yes.
Will they be like this dynamic duo pushing through a progressive agenda? Or will their differing approaches create friction and gridlock?
It's one of the most intriguing storylines to follow this year, that's for sure.
Totally.
And we can't discount the Republican minority,
No.
small but mighty. They might not have the numbers to swing votes in their favor,
Right.
but they can still wield significant influence through strategic alliances, media savvy, their ability to tap into, public sentiment.
So they could be the spoilers.
They could, yeah.
Shaking things up when we least expect it.
Yeah,
right?
love it. Exactly. Never underestimate the power of, a well-timed maneuver.
Right.
Or, a carefully crafted soundbite.
This is why we tune in week after week, right?
Yeah.
The drama, the intrigue, the never-ending game of political chess.
It's better than fiction.
It really is.
So much better than fiction.
But before we get lost in the hypothetical,
Okay.
let's bring it back to those meeting minutes. Is there anything else buried in there that we haven't unearthed yet? Well, beyond the dates and the names, these minutes feel more like a prologue than like a full chapter.
Yeah.
Fair, for sure.
Like the setup.
Yeah, it's all about laying the groundwork.
Yeah.
But, there's one more detail, I think, tucked away in there. Kind of a subtle reminder of the power dynamics at play.
Okay.
Remember Council Member Ung?
Our mysterious absentee.
Right. The only one absent from both roll call and the speaker's vote.
Right. Yep.
Well, the minutes note that Speaker Adams had the power to excuse Ung's absence.
Okay.
It's a small detail,
Yeah.
but I think it speaks volumes.
Okay. I'm intrigued. Break it down for me.
Okay, so on the surface,
Yeah.
it's standard procedure,
Right.
but it highlights the speaker's authority, her discretion.
Yeah.
Right. By excusing the absence, Adams effectively neutralizes any potential disruption Ung's absence might have caused.
Right.
It's like a subtle flex of political muscle. You know what I mean?
It's like a subtle message, like I'm in control here.
Exactly. Exactly. And it serves as a reminder that even in a, seemingly democratic body like the city council,
Right.
power is often exercised in nuanced and sometimes invisible ways.
Right.
It's those subtle moves, those behind-the-scenes negotiations and
Yeah.
decisions that often shape the course of events.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
It's all starting to make sense. We've got the big personalities,
Yes.
the potential for alliances and rivalries,
Yeah.
these undercurrents of power dynamics.
It's juicy.
It's like House of Cards, but with better bagels.
1,000%. That's a great way to put it. And as we, watch this political drama unfold throughout the year, it's crucial to remember that these are not just abstract power plays.
Yeah.
They have real-world consequences for every New Yorker.
Right. And that's the key takeaway here.
For sure.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, what's the one thing you want our listeners to remember?
Pay attention, engage. Don't just be a spectator in this unfolding drama.
Yes.
The decisions made by these council members, guided by these leaders, will impact your life in countless ways. Make your voice heard.
Beautifully put. And on that note, we'll wrap up this deep dive into the New York City Council's first meeting of the year.
It's going to be a good year.
We navigated the procedural waters, we decoded the power dynamics, and hopefully, sparked some curiosity about the political landscape of our city.
Absolutely.
Until next time, stay engaged, stay informed, and remember every vote, every decision has a story behind it. Happy learning.